Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Racing Topic Podcast. Joining me today is the 2022 Rock Junior Canadian Karting Champion, Christian Menezes. Christian, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on this.
No problem, buddy. So, I guess we'll dive in a bit. So, first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I was there calling the race. That Rock Junior race was one of the best of the day. Also increased by the possibility of rain.
Yeah.
So that was, it could have gone any other way. There was like 8, 9, 10 contenders that could have walked away with that. But you got the lead when it mattered the most, and you pulled away. And as the world evolved into chaos behind you, you just
pulled away.
Drove into the sunset and took the checkered flag. So
yeah.
I guess we'll start from the very beginning. So what really was the starting point to get you into karting and racing in general?
The starting point for me was I was on vacation in the States in Florida, and I forget what mall it was, but it was like a huge mall, and inside they had one of the K1 Speed public carts, and I was just old enough and just tall enough to drive, so my parents just let me in to have fun, and I did my first session. I loved it, and when I came off, the first thing I said to my parents was, "Why is everybody so slow?" Which kind of said to them, like, okay, he wants to go fast, and then when we got back, we signed myself up for a ride and drive at Goodwood Kartways, and I did that for 3 years. It went well. In my final year of ride and drive, I won the youth division and overall championship at Goodwood and Mossport.
Wow, you pulled a double.
Yeah.
Dang.
First and only one, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, and then got myself into club, and now here we are.
I also add on to that as well. He ends up with the points record in Arrive and Drive Youth. And guess who had the original points record? So he shattered it that year when he went up and did it. I remember I was there as working as the one of the marshals.
Yeah,
but
I remember that.
Me and Logan were so impressed with all of your drives and stuff like that. It's like, if we were still racing this, he would definitely be whooping us right now. So, yeah, that was always good to see. So 2019 ended up being a real good year for it. And you even started trying club at the end of that season, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did a summer training where I got to test a club kart at Briggs Junior Light with Pro, and I tested with them for a bit, and that's how I got into the first club kart. Yeah.
All right. So how did your rookie season go in 2020, even though we all know that year was weird in general?
We started quite late, so coming into it from 2019, we talked to many people who were in it in 2019, and it was like, oh yeah, you'll have like 1 week off every once in a while, and it'll be relaxing, and it'll be nice. 2020, disaster. Every weekend we were racing, and it was just, it was exhausting, but I gained a ton of experience from it, and it was nice to compete against Gavin Goldie, Max Raymer, Braden Fowler, Ethan Pollock, and just a bunch of drivers.
Yeah. So, all right. So, judging, how do you think it was it a real successful season? Because I think you also you went to Mossport as well, right? And did their season.
I did at Mossport. I only did a couple of races there. We were mainly at Goodwood, but the few races I did, I put myself in Briggs Junior instead of Junior Light. Okay. So instead of racing against like maybe, I forget how many drivers there were at Junior Light at that time, I was racing against like 20 plus drivers.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was quite
more
stacked.
Yeah. It was a bigger step.
So, so when did you decide to make the transition to two-stroke?
Two-stroke, Kevin Glover, my racing team, he's a main, he builds Rock engines, so he's one of the main distributors, and obviously it made sense from where my talent was in Briggs Junior Light to move up to Rock Junior, and it just made sense at the time.
All right, so, and then you started finding some early success in 2021.
Yeah, probably where it clicked for me was Gamebridge last year. Gamebridge, one of my favorite tracks, and that was where I scored my first Ron Fellows podium.
Hey.
And so that was a turning point for me, and it worked out well there.
Tough to score in Ron Fellows nowadays, with all the competition and stuff and all the money and everything that goes into that series. It's just generally hard to do well because, like we said, in the Canadian Championships this year, there's so many contenders that can walk away with the win, and even sometimes the fastest guy doesn't walk away with the win because it's so close and so many things happen.
There's so many factors.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, do you think they pushed you more?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Just in the final at the Nationals, it was, like you said, 8, 9, 10 of us battling for the win. And I started that race second. I've made some pretty big mistakes in the beginning. I fell down to 6th, and then I put my head down and battled for first, and then it went out well.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So through 2021, as you were taking, more of the steps in Rock Junior and stuff, what do you think was the bigger step? Was it in 2021, so in your rookie year, or was it really firing off on all cylinders at the start of 2022?
For me, Cambridge, my first turning point. Second turning point was probably when we went to Tremblant. Tremblant, my first ever time on the track, the track was phenomenal. That's my favorite track by far. And it was just a great learning experience. And the people who I was driving against, it's either their home track or they've been there before. So it's like, going into it, I had the mindset of like, okay, I might be able to battle for a podium, but if not, it's understandable, why not?
Oh, okay.
And going into it though, I was like top 3 in practice, and for most of it, even though it was one of my first times on the track, so I was like, okay, I have a shot at doing well. And when it came to the heats, the qualifying, we had a lot of problems with the kart though.
Oh.
Tire balancing, engine-wise, it was just not adding up. But in the final mainly, it all clicked, and I was able to score second, which was a big surprise for us.
Good stuff. So,
yeah.
Especially on a momentum-based track like that. And, I think, another thing I'll ask is, what speeds do you think you were, I think the Micron told you, but what speeds were you hitting going down that long straightaway?
I think around like 120.
Wow.
And a road tax junior, yeah. It was crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then going straight into a sharp hairpin at the end.
Yeah.
It was...
it was going, I think...
reverse.
Yeah, so it was counterclockwise. Oh, man,
going into
that's
that.
Fast as you can ever think of, man.
Yeah.
So, Tremblant was an absolute banger. And then, because the entirety of KGR that I found at the start of the season were really, really firing off on all cylinders and stuff. Did you guys really do anything special in the 2021 to 2022 off season to make all that happen?
I think just collectively as a team, we developed more so like on ourselves, but as a team that all came together, and we were able to progress as a team, and it just fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. Yeah, you guys are on Red Speeds now, right?
Red Speeds,
the chassis. Was that always the chassis that was on KGR?
Not always the chassis. I joined in 2020. And I started on an Intrepid, and I moved to a Cosmic because we were having problems with our chassis there. Moved to Cosmic, so I had 2 chassis in 2020.
Yeah.
Then in 2021, I got a 2020 Red Speed.
Okay.
So basically from 2021, it's been mainly Red Speed. But I think in 2020, we ran either Exprees or Intrepids or stuff like that.
All right. Well, it still worked out pretty well, but now you guys are firmly in the Red Speed camp, and it looks to be working on all cylinders.
Yeah.
So describe to me this year, because this is the year that you've really come out and stuff, really starting to dominate in. We're going for a second straight championship in Rock Junior at the club, and now Fellows, where you've really been competing top 5 week in and week out.
Yeah. For Ron Fellows, I had quite a bit of bad luck in the first 2 at Mossport. I came a 5th in a DNF, so that kind of put me out of the contentions for that.
Yep.
But for Hamilton and Innisfil, Hamilton didn't go the greatest, but Innisfil I was able to actually do really good. Mm-hmm. I was running first for most of the second race, but then a bit of trouble and I finished second.
I remember that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We won't really comment on that. Let's just say a bit of lap traffic and contact. So, unfortunately, it's racing, but I know it ends up biting you, but it happens. So you just have to keep your head up, and eventually it'll come back to you. And it did in the biggest way.
Yeah.
So now take to me as we get to the 2022 Canadian Championships. What was that week like?
It was mayhem. So going into it, we were looking at it as the way you could get the Portugal ticket to race in Portimao, it was best combined score for Tremblant and Mosport.
Oh yeah, that's right, the points.
Yeah, and I came second at Tremblant, and Ryan Maxwell, who won at Tremblant, he already got the ticket, so he was out of contention. So going into it, I had the most amount of points, which means I had the most likely chance to win.
Yeah.
And then Rock, there was a lot of competition. Like, there's too many names to count. And we looked at that, I did at least, as a wild card. And Portugal, I wanted to go to Portugal. So that's what my mindset was going into it. And overall, we had a good weekend in Rotax. I won a heat and I think qualifying. But in the final, it came down to rain, and the drivers had more experience than me in that, and they were able to beat me. It's when I got third, and Jensen Burnett won the race, and due to penalties. But since that, we tied for points.
Oh, okay.
Like, dead on. We were both like 495 around there.
Oh, that's so
but
close.
Since I got a second and a third, and he got a first and I think a fifth, it came down to who had the most wins, and since he won at Mosport, he got the ticket.
Oh, okay.
So that was the morning of the Nationals, and that, yeah. So going into Rock, it was like, okay, you can have fun now, just do your best. And going into it, I had the mindset of, okay, I'm starting second, I have a shot at winning this, and if I get podium, that's still fine. And when it just came down to the race, and I actually won, it was just kind of surreal. Yeah.
I remember that. And even your dad told me before that race started, he went, well, unfortunately, he told me you did really, really well, and I saw it as well, going up against guys that have more experience than you in the two-stroke class in the rain. Yeah. And he said, don't worry, we can get him next year. And I'm like, well, don't count it out. You guys still got one race left today.
Yeah.
So, and then this comes around, and an absolute banger of a race, as I said. Wish we had some live cameras on that, but, what can you do? And he comes out, makes the right moves at the right time, gets away from the pack, and just heads on to the win. And one of the best celebrations of the day as well, coming by the line, whole KGR team pumping their arms and everything. So
that was definitely a memorable moment. Seeing the entire fence line filled with KGR, it was just amazing. Yeah.
So that was probably the best moment of your career so far, hands down.
For sure.
I mean, I don't really know if there's any more better things of winning the Canadian Championship, but whatever comes to mind and all that stuff. So, so I guess we'll backtrack a little bit. Have there what have been the best stories that you've been a part of, or like best like moments and stuff with your team that have just been absolutely crazy?
One time I remember 2020 Sutton Kart Stars. Oh. That was my first ever win in Kart Stars, and my only win actually. And it was me, Braden Fowler, Gavin Goldie, and Nick Gilks, I'm pretty sure. And it was the four of us battling for the win, basically. And it came down where the second last lap, I was running third, and Gavin and Nick broke away a little, and they were battling for the win. And down the straightaway, they had been battling, so I caught up just enough to the point where they made contact on the straightaway, and I was able to make the better of it and got my first win in that. And that was by far, at the time, my favorite moment.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that's definitely something else as well. And I will say, it was hard to overtake at Sutton.
Oh,
since I just raced there last week, and it is like the track is like, it's not necessarily bumpy. I mean, it kind of is, but more or less like the surface and those tarmac patches and stuff. It's like you go through the corner. Oh my! I don't have too much grip.
I can't turn.
The cart just hooks, and it's like, oh my god! And like that's the thing. My wrists were destroyed after that, and that's the only track this year that's actually giving me shoulder pain and back pain after that. And I'm like, geez, man. So, but because I wasn't there in 2020, but I did see it. So that track was well, you obviously had a really good time because you ended up coming on, winning the race, and sometimes it's about being right spot, right time. Yeah. So, but hey, if you got the pace to be right up there and you have the pace to win, then hats off to you. You can't really say anything about, oh no, you didn't deserve this or whatever. Yeah. If you had the pace, and those two were the guys driving into each other, so that's on them, not you. So, What else? What else would you say was like some really good or funny, entertaining stories that you were around for and stuff?
I think so. Probably 2021. We were, if I remember correctly, 2021 Nationals. Sorry, our team was doing actually really well with Robert Soroka, Cruz Formosa, Brady Clapham all battling in Rock Senior, and me, Max Raymer, battling in Rock Junior, and our team was actually doing really good. Robert was competing for the win in Rock Junior. It was my first in Rock, and I was sort of battling for podium, but I was a little bit off pace. And I'm not sure if I remember, but Robert did actually pretty well. I'm pretty sure he got podium. I'm not sure. But he had a good race, and he was right before us. And when it came down to my race, it was mayhem. Yeah. 2021, I was maybe running 7th in the beginning of the race. Then when it came down to the final, I was running 4th. Many people crashed out. Logan Paxa, Ian Q, just a bunch of drivers like that.
Man.
Yeah. So it came down to where me and Marcello Paniccia, we were actually running bumper to bumper for 4th and 3rd. And with, I think, like 4 or 5 laps to go, my engine cut out.
Oh.
The float stuck to the point where like I couldn't even go on the gas. I had to just coast all the way down to 4 to 5, and it was just not fun because I saw that as a potential podium in my first year of Rock, and it just got taken away. Oh. Yeah, and I ended up finishing 6th that race or 5th. But yeah.
But what could have been?
So, possible 3rd.
Yeah. Right. It's like, I think, I remember that race. Yeah, I remember that happening. Paxa, I think he had the lead in that race, and then he ended up crashing out. He was come under immense pressure from Aiden and Grata, who I think he started at the back, and he drove. Yeah, Baxter too. They both drove through the field.
They were like untouchable that year. It was
something else, man. So
yeah.
But that's unfortunate. So not much you can do about it, but.
It was a good learning experience for
exactly.
this year.
So it comes what around. What goes around comes around, and it comes around in the best way. So
yeah.
And anything else around that age, like because I know you and your team have had some of those team dinners and stuff. I know this year in Hamilton, I saw the whole KGR crew just outside the hotel having this barbecue.
We all coincidentally were in the same hotel, and some of us were near us, and we just ended up going to have a nice dinner outside of our hotel, and it was just a good bonding experience.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So, those are the moments you always live for as well, when you just gonna come forward a little bit. Yeah. Just having fun with your friends and everybody at the track and stuff, and it's like, you know what, this is definitely the best life right now. So, anything else?
Not that I can recall, no. Yeah.
Well, anything else in general that you wanted to add? Or actually, I should probably ask one more thing. Where do you see yourself going in the future? How many more years do you have in junior before you move up to senior?
I have one more year. Next year will be my last year of junior.
Okay.
And then I'll either move up to shifter, senior, or possibly even go into cars.
Wow. All right. Wow.
If all cards play right.
Well, here at Hit Motorsports, which, by the way, we are here at Hit Motorsports right now recording this. We have simulators and stuff, so that is definitely one way to practice and get ready for those things with shifting and everything. So you never know. So anything else, Christian?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, in that case, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Racing Topic Podcast, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Christian, it's been an honor. Again, congrats on the Canadian Championship. And you'll be going out to, where are the finals?
Italy.
Italy, that's right. Oh, my gosh. I need to do my research anyway. So, all right, everyone. Again, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Racing Topic Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Until then, y'all take it easy.